Hello everyone, this is January Silva. Welcome to Road to A Plus project done by the Rotaract Club of NSBM. So today we are going to do a physics lesson and that's about density. Let me screen share so that we can proceed with the lesson. Density. So children, this is a very easy lesson and a very simple one, a small lesson as well. Density. So what is density? I'll just brief things out without just reading everything on the book itself. So density is, children, the mass per unit volume of a substance is known as the density of that substance. ඒ කියන්නේ ළමයි එක unit volume එකකට තියෙන mass ප්‍රමාණය තමයි density කියලා කියන්නේ. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ now y'all know we learned about force, we learned about pressure, so we learned all those things. So likewise, density is also a measurement you could use to find out the mass per unit volume of a substance. So most of the times density we used with the liquids. Okay, and another thing is, children, whatever the ratio of mass of water or any other liquid you take to its volume, the ratio is always constant. Okay, so whatever the mass you take and the volume, the ratio you get by those two is always constant. ඒක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් අපි වතුර වල density එක ගත්තොත් ඒ වතුර වල density එක ළමයි කොහොමවත් වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Mass over mass divided by volume කියන equation එක තමයි අපි use කරන density වලට. So when you put the values into that equation, the final answer you always get as the density of water is always the same. It won't change unless there are other components or other small substances. Unless there are small components dissolved in water. Other than that, the water's density, the density of fresh water rather, okay, it's always the same. It's a constant. Okay, so this is known as density. So basically, density is the mass per unit volume of a substance. Okay, so how you measure or calculate density is by mass over volume. Mass with mass, and then as the denominator you have to put the volume. So this amount is always a constant to its specific liquid. Okay. So children, I think y'all know how to get the units for any kind of equation. Y'all know mass is always grams. So here you don't use kilograms. Basically what you use is grams here, okay? And then volume is being measured by cm to the power 3, okay, cubic centimeter. And when you take this cm to the power 3 up, it will be cm to the power minus 3. So that's not science, that's actually mathematics, okay? But then children, even though you use grams to measure mass, and also even though you use cubic centimeter to measure volume, and so then the outcome becomes grams per cubic centimeter, even though it's that, according to the standard international units. අපි දන්නවනේ SI unit කියලා දෙයක් අහලා තියෙනවනේ. SI unit වලට අනුව, according to the standard international units, the measurement is taken with the units kilograms and m to the power 3. Okay, so it's not grams and cm to the power 3, but kilograms and m to the power 3. Okay, so when you get the final thing, it comes as kilograms m to the power minus 3, because when you take m to the power 3 up as the numerator with kilograms, it becomes minus 3. So that's maths again. So children, you have to remember the fact that the standard unit of density is always kilograms per cubic meter. Kilogram per cubic meter. Per cubic meter, when you come with it, because it's a 3. 2 square meter. Okay, so it's a 3, that means cubic meter. Per cubic meter can I minus 3. යට තියෙන මොනද cubic meter එක උඩට ගියාම m to the power 3 කොට ගියාම m to the power minus 3 වෙනවානේ. ඒ හින්දා තමයි per cubic meter කියන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ එක cubic meter එකකට කොච්චර kilogram ප්‍රමාණයක්ද. So that implies the definition of density as well. Okay. So density is, like I told you, the mass per unit volume. So the definition is being shown through the units as well. Okay. Kilogram per cubic meter. Kilogram can mass මනින එක, cubic meter කියන්නේ volume මනින එක. So mass per unit volume නැත්නම් kilogram per cubic meter. ඒ units වලින් SI unit standard unit එකෙන් හරියට පෙන්නන definition එකකින් කියවන දේ. So එක unit එකකට කොච්චර mass ප්‍රමාණයක්ද? How many, the amount of mass in one unit volume. So that's what it says. Okay, so these are small activities you should do in your lab to get the, what do you call, the calculations and the necessary densities. But here now virtually we can't do it now. Okay, so I'll move on to the calculations. Okay, and a very special thing you have to keep in mind, a very important thing is, children, the density of specific liquid is always what do you call it? It's special for that specific liquid itself. Okay, because children, it's a specific property of the substance. එක හැම වෙලාවම substance එකෙන් substance එකට වෙනස් වෙනවා. දැන් water වල density එක 1000. හරිද? 1000 kilogram per cubic meter. හරිද? එතකොට water වල 1000 වුණාට mercury වල තව ගාණක්. Mercury වල, as I remember, it's something close to 13,000. Something will do that. Okay. So likewise, always the density, the ratio between mass and value, that differs from substance to substance. It's because it's a specific property of the respective substance. Even though, children, the density of water is 1000, sometimes it might differ according to the constituents or according to the substances dissolved in water. For an example, අපි salt water ගත්තොත් මේ normal fresh water වලට වඩා density එක වැඩි වෙනවා. 1000 වුණාට fresh water වල density එක 1000 kilogram per cubic meter වුණාට salt water මුහුදු වතුරේ density එක ඊට වඩා වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ටිකක් වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද salt උත් මේ වෙලාව කියන්නේ මුහුදු වතුරේ තව components එකතු වෙලානේ තියෙන. ඒතකොට ඒකේ density එක ඊට වඩා වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, so anyhow, density is vital, a very important physical quantity of a substance. It's because, children, you can always identify the substances. You can always identify the substance by the value of the density. Can after 1000 kilogram, okay, this should be water. So if it's something 13,000, I can't remember the exact value. So if it's that, then it's mercury. Okay, but there can be slight changes, like I told you, according to the components dissolved in here. Okay, so always you can identify the substance by the value of the density given. Okay, so these are two calculations that could appear in your exam paper. So always remember, when you get big questions, children, but they might actually change the units to see whether you all can remember the SI units. The මෙතන දීලා නම් තියෙන්නේ cubic meter වලිනුයි another kilogram වලින්ම දීලා තියෙන්නේ, but sometimes in the exam paper they might give you from cubic centimeter and grams, so that you have to convert it into the relevant SI units. Okay, so mass or volume, that's really easy. 2000 over 2 cubic meter, and then it becomes 1000 kilogram per cubic meter. Now this is somewhat different, but it's really easy as well. Now here they have given the density and they have given the mass. Now here you have to find the volume. එහෙම කිව්ව ගමන් ළමයි මේ වගේ question එකක් දීපු ගමන් දීලා තියෙන dimensions ටික ලියා ගන්න. Okay, write down the dimensions they have actually given us from the calculation. Okay, so they have given us the mass, they have given us the density, mass and density. So the mass is 200 kilograms and the density is 800 kilogram per cubic meter. So then what should you find? Volume. එහෙනම් අර කලින් write down the initial equation. Okay, density equals mass over volume. So then අපේ volume නම් හොයන්න තියෙන්නේ, you have to isolate the dimension volume. So you take volume to the other side of the equation and take density to the other side of the equation. So then it becomes mass over density. So you can find out the volume. Okay, so it's really easy. හරිම lazy එක. කෙලින්ම equation එක දාලා තමන්ට හොයන්න තියෙන. Okay, ඔයගලන්ට දීලා තියෙන question paper එකේ හොයන්නේ කියලා දීලා තියෙන dimension එක හැමලම isolate කරන්න. Okay, you have to isolate it. Okay, so now here they have given the mass, they have given you the density. The mass is 200 kilograms, whereas the density is 800 kilograms per cubic meter. So when you are being asked to find out the volume, what you should do is write down the initial equation, density equals mass over volume, and then isolate the dimension you are being asked to find. So it's volume. Then you have to take volume to the other side of the equation, whereas density to the side where volume was. Okay, so then it becomes volume equals mass over density. Then just substitute the values they have given to the dimensions. Okay, so then you get 1 over 4 cubic meter. So 1 over 4 can lamai mokadda 0.25 cubic meter can. Okay, so it's really easy. And then now we are going to learn about hydrometers. So children, the basic idea you have to get from this is that the apparatus used to measure the density of a liquid is known as the hydrometer. Liquid එක density මනින equipment එකට අපි කියන්නේ hydrometer කියලා. හරිද? මේ මෙතන තියෙන you can underline it as well. So the equipment that is being used to measure the density of a liquid. Liquid එකක density එක මනින හරි apparatus එක නැත්නම් equipment එක තමයි hydrometer. So children, hydrometer, there are several types of hydrometers. Okay, so these are the several types of hydrometers. You can see some are tall, some are short, and sometimes the what do you call here, the bulb part is different in some cases, and there are similar ones as well. So there are different kind of hydrometers which can be used depending on the context. Okay, so normally the bulb is filled with lead shots. Because children, the way you measure the density of liquid is by submerging the hydrometer into the liquid. අරක ගිල්ලවල තමයි බලන්නේ. හරිද? දැන් එතකොට ළමයි අපි ඔලුවට ගන්නන දේ තමයි if it's been what do you call, if it sinks less, okay, කියන්නේ අඩුවෙන් ඇතුළට ගිහිල්ලා නම් ඒ කියන්නේ එක high density liquid එකක්. ඉගෙන ඒක ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ෆ්ලෝට් වෙන්න බලන්න. ඇයි ඒ? දැන් අපි හිතන්න මල් පෙත්තක් වගේ හරියම සියුම් දෙයක් වතුරට දැම්මම ඒක ගිලනවද? නෑ. ඒක පාවෙනවා. ඇයි ඒ? මොකද වතුර ඩෙන්සිටි එක වැඩි මල් පෙතරට. ඒ හින්දා වතුර ඩෙන්සිටි එක මල් පෙතරට වැඩි හින්දා මල් පෙත ගිලෙන්න එක පාවි තියෙනවා. අතින් ඒ එකම දේ තමයි මෙතන. එනකොට අපි හිතමු ලොකු බර දෙයක් අපි වතුරට දැම්මොත් ගිලනවනේ. ඒකේ මීන් වෙන්නේ මොකද? වතුරේ ඩෙන්සිටි එක අඩුයි ඒ දාපු දෙයට වඩා. නැත්නම් ඒ දාපු දේ density එක වැඩි වතුරට වඩා. වතුර density එක අඩුයි. එහෙමනේ අපි ඒක interpret කරන්නේ. So the same thing applies here. Okay, so what you have learned in your small grades, previous grades, the same concept is being applied here. Okay, so when the density of the particular liquid is less, density එක අඩුයි නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? density එක අඩුයි නම් අරක ගොඩක් ගිලෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අර හයිඩ්‍රෝමීටර් එක බරයි. ඒ හින්දානේ ගිලෙන්නේ. එතකොට if it sinks less, that means the substance is a high density one. Okay, so if you consider, okay, if you just look at these three diagrams they have given, liquid A, water and liquid C, children, you all can see in liquid A, in that specific diagram, it sinks less. අඩුවෙන් ගිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. අනිත් දෙකට relatively ඒක අඩුවෙන් ගිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ density එක liquid A එකේ density එක වැඩිලු water වල density වලටත් වඩා. හරිද? liquid C එකට වඩා කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ? water වලටත් වඩා වැඩි. ඒක තමයි මේක අඩුවෙන් ගිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? එතකොට C වල liquid එක ගොඩක් ඇතුළට ගියලා. කියන්නේ ගොඩක් ඒක sink වෙලා, ගොඩක් immersed වෙලා. හරිද? So that means, children, so now you actually compare the two densities with relative to water. So if you take liquid A, its density is higher than water. And if you consider the liquid C diagram C, ඒකේ ගොඩක් ඉමර්ස් වෙලා ගොඩක් ඇතුළට ගිහින් ගොඩක් ඒක ඇතුළට ගිහිල්ලා කියන්නේ මොකන්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක ගොඩක් ඇතුළට ගිහිල්ලා කියන ළමයි ඒක බරයි වතුර ඒ ලික්විඩ් එකටලා. ඒක එහෙනම් ලික්විඩ් වයිස් බැලුවොත් ලික්විඩ් එකේ ඩෙන්සිටි එක අඩුයි. හරි එතකොට වෝටර් වල මේ හරියට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ මේක මේ හරි මේක මේ හරි. එහෙනම් ලික්විඩ් A වල ඩෙන්සිටි එක වැඩි වෝටරට වඩා. එතකොට ලික්විඩ් C එකේ ඩෙන්සිටි එක අඩුයි වෝටරට වඩා. The density of liquid C is lower than that of water. Okay, so water lies in between. Liquid A එකේ වැඩි මොකද ඒක අඩුවෙන් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන හින්දා. Liquid C එකේ liquid C එකේ density එක අඩුයි අරක වැඩියෙන් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන හින්දා. So children, if you can recall this example, if you have ever heard, there is a salty water, what do you call a source called Dead Sea. Dead Sea කියන එක මොකක්ද ඔයාලා අහලා ඇති. හරිද? Dead Sea එක ඒකේ ගොඩක් salty water තියෙනවා. Okay, so it is been located in between Israel and Jordan. The density of salty water is really high because ඒක fresh water නෙවෙයි salty water නේ. ඒකට normal fresh water වල density වලට වඩා වැඩි කොහොමද? හරිද? මේකේ density එක ගොඩක් වැඩි. ඒ හින්දාම අපි කියන්නේ ගොඩක් අර we want sink. So we can float. මේ වගේම තමයි. දැන් අපි liquid A එක වගේ තමයි. ඒක ගොඩක් sink වෙන්න ඒක float වෙනව නෙවෙයි. But then you know ඒක අඩු වෙන්නේ sink වෙලා තියෙන. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකේ density එක වැඩි. liquid C එක ගොඩක් immerse වෙලා. ඒ කියන්නේ density එක අඩුයි. water වලට අඩුයි. liquid A එකේ water වලට වැඩි. හරිද? එතකොට මේ Dead Sea එක ගත්තොත් Dead Sea එකේ it has the capability, it has the ability of floating a man without sinking. You know, people can actually float without sinking. That is because the density of this water is very high. So children, that's about it. It's really easy. And then we have the uses of hydrometers. So they have given you what do you call they have given you 6 main uses. So one is, children, to calculate the amount of water present in cow's milk. Then normally cow's milk වල 90% ම තියෙන water ඒ අරෙන්න ගොඩක් lipids proteins වගේම තියෙනවා. හරිද? එතකොට දැන් water විතරක් නෙවෙයි අනිත් constituents උත් තියෙනවනේ වෙන දේවලුත් තියෙන හින්දා milk වල density එක වතුරට වඩා ටිකක් වැඩි. ටිකක් slightly higher than that of water. Okay, so hydrometers are being used to measure the density of milk. Okay, and it is also been used to decide whether what is added to milk. වතුර තියෙනවද කියලා බලන්නත් use කරනවා. And milk වල density එක measure කරන්න ගන්න hydrometer එකට අපි කියන lactometer කියලා. So lactometer is also a kind of hydrometer. But the thing is lactometers are specifically used to measure the density of milk. And then you have alcohol meters. They have been used to measure the percentage of alcohol in alcoholic drinks. අපි කියනවානේ මෙන්න මේකේ alcohol ප්‍රමාණය වැඩි මෙන්න මේකේ alcohol ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි අර එහෙම කියනවානේ අපි. එතකොට ඒ කොච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් alcohol percentage එක කොච්චරද කියලා මනින්නේ wine වලයි beer වලයි alcohol meters වල. Because normally, children, anyways alcoholic drinks වල වැඩිම තියෙන water. හරිද? එතකොට ඒ හින්දා the density of alcoholic drinks are slightly different from density of water. In the density of water වල ගානම අපිට මේ alcohol drink එකේ density එක කියලා බෑ. මොකද alcoholic drinks වල වතුර වැඩියෙන් තිබ්බට alcohol උත් දාලානේ. So the density is slightly different. The density of alcoholic drinks are slightly different from density of water. So the hydrometer used to measure the percentage of alcohol in alcoholic drinks is known as alcohol meters. And then also you can find the density of acid. Okay, changes according to changes in lead acid batteries used in vehicles. Therefore, the condition of batteries can be examined by measuring the density with the hydrometer. ඒ කියන්නේ ළමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි වාහනවල තියෙන lead acid batteries වල acid ප්‍රමාණය density එක මාරු වෙන දැන් කොච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් තියනවද දැන් කොච්චර දැන් අඩු වෙනද කොහොමද කියලා බලන්න ඒ density එක measure කරන්නේ අපි hydrometer එකකින්. So there is no specific name for that specific thing. The hydrometer is being used. Okay, and then you have the soil hydrometer. ඒක බලන්නේ අපි soil sample එකක තියෙන composition එක determine කරමු මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා බලන්න. Okay, it can be concluded by dissolving a constant mass of soil in a constant volume of water to calculate the density of soil solution. අපි මොකද කරන්නේ ළමයි? අපි soil ප්‍රමාණයක් dissolve කරනවා in a constant volume of water, and then only you get the density of soil solution. And another way is to find the density of sea water. ඒකට කියන්නේ sea water hydrometer කියලා. මම කලින් කිව්වා වගේ because a lot of salt is dissolved in sea water. ඔයගොල්ලන් beach එකකට ගියා නම් හරිද? If you have accidentally tasted sea water, ඔයගොල්ලන් දන්නවනේ මේ ලුණු රහයි කියලා. It's salty, right? So that's because in sea water it has a lot of high amount of salt. NaCl අර ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් salt components තියෙනවා. So the density is it's different from normal water. Okay, and the density of seawater is higher than normal fresh water. So for that we have a special equipment, a special apparatus, what do you call it? A special hydrometer called seawater hydrometer. Okay, and the last use you have been given by your syllabus is the Rotaract. Rotaract is also a hydrometer to find the composition of rubber. Rubber ප්‍රමාණය හොයන්න use කරන special hydrometer එක තමයි Rotaract කියන්නේ. So it's a really easy lesson. You have to remember what density is. So density is the mass per unit volume, and then you have to keep in mind that the equation, mass over volume, and the SI unit, the standard international unit of density, is kilogram per cubic meters. Okay. So density differs from substance to substance. एक specific property එකක්. එහෙනම් ඒක මාර vital, එක important එකක්. measurement එකක්. liquid measure කරන්න ගන්න liquid වල density එක measure කරන්න ගන්න equipment එක. apparatus එකට කියන hydrometer. So there are various kinds of hydrometers. You have the lactometer, you have the what do you call alcohol meter, and then you can find the density of acid in lead acid batteries used in vehicles. මොකද ඒවා වෙනස් වෙනවනේ කලින් වගේ. ඒතර condition එක batteries වල condition use කරන්න you can use the hydrometer. Then you have the soil hydrometers to find out the composition of a soil sample. And then you have the seawater hydrometer, and then you have the Rotaract, which is being used to find the composition of rubber. Okay, so density is a criteria to determine quality of liquids and solutions. With the use of density, you can actually find out how quality these certain liquids are, okay, and solutions as well. So it's a really easy lesson, children, like I told you. And next week we are going to do another bio lesson. The name is also biodiversity. I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting lesson, but when it's a bio lesson, like I always tell you, bio lessons make you study a lot, memorize a lot, because in biology you have a lot of facts to keep in mind. Okay, whereas physics is more towards sums and calculations, equations, definitions, laws and concepts likewise. And chemistry is all about chemicals, elements, molecules, compounds, and bondings and all. Okay, and biology, like I always tell you, it's all about the environment, the surrounding, the flora and fauna, which means animals, plants and all, humans and everything, living organisms, and diversity in the environment. So yeah, so next week we'll be doing biodiversity. So children, then thank you. Take well care of yourselves, be safe, study well, and good luck for your future endeavors. Thank you.